The strange part wasn't that the train arrived late. It was that it arrived on time to a station that no longer existed. Its headlights cut through fog that hadn't been disturbed in decades. No announcements echoed, and no doors opened anywhere. The clocks on the platform were still ticking, but they all showed different hours at the same time. Tonight, we step quietly into another forgotten mystery. A place where questions linger longer than answers, and the air feels older here, as if the past is waiting just beyond the edge of light. Settle in slowly, the mystery is waiting for you. The place was once known as Greyhaven Station, a rural stop tucked between forests and marshland that officially closed in the late 1970s. It was removed from maps, erased from schedules, and left to rust quietly without notice. But in the early hours of a winter morning, several residents reported seeing lights where the station should have been dark. They described a train slowing down, braking carefully, as if preparing to stop at a place long forgotten. But that was only the first thing that didn't make sense to anyone. Railway records from that night showed no scheduled arrivals at all. There were no maintenance runs, no freight movement listed anywhere, yet the track sensors briefly activated just long enough to register wait. Then there was nothing again, no departure logged, and no explanation ever offered. Greyhaven Station was never busy and only served a handful of families, a lumber mill, and a single boarding house nearby. Still, it earned a quiet reputation that unsettled those who worked there. Conductors reported losing track of time, while passengers said their watches stopped and then restarted minutes later. In 1968, a railway inspector noted something deeply unsettling after repeated visits. Every clock at the station drifted at a different pace, and none of them could be synchronized, no matter how hard they tried. The report was archived quietly and then forgotten. By the mid-70s, workers began refusing night shifts at Greyhaven without explanation. They spoke of footsteps on empty platforms and whistles heard without any trains in sight. Some arrived early and left hours late without ever realizing what had happened. The station was quietly shut down soon after with no ceremony and no final train, at least none that was ever recorded officially. Years later, urban explorers found something strange waiting for them. A bench was worn smooth, as if it had been recently used, and a ticket stub was discovered dated 3 decades after the station's closure. A logbook in the signal room listed arrivals that never appeared in official archives at all. Each entry ended the same way, with no departure time ever filled in, but none of it prepared them for what they found next. The next discovery would change everything they thought they understood about the place. Buried beneath fallen leaves at the far end of the platform was a single clock still running. Its glass was unbroken and its hands moved smoothly without hesitation, but the time it showed didn't match any known zone. It wasn't fast and it wasn't slow either. It was simply somewhere else entirely. In the early 2000s, railway maintenance crews inspecting nearby tracks found something impossible. There were fresh wheel marks and compressed gravel, as if a heavy train had recently passed through the area. But the rails beyond Greyhaven were untouched and undisturbed. The marks began and ended at the abandoned station. There was no damage anywhere and no explanation offered, just silence where answers should have been. Some believe Greyhaven became a temporal loop, a place where moments folded back on themselves. They point to the clocks, the missing departure times, and the repeated sightings as proof. But skeptics ask a simple question in response. If time was looping there, why only there? And why only sometimes? Others argue it was human error layered over decades, a ghost route accidentally left active and followed by mistake. A train may have followed outdated signals, with technology misreading obsolete data. Yet this theory fails to explain the time stops or the physical evidence that appeared long after systems were modernized. A quieter theory focuses not on the station itself, but on who might have been aboard the train. A train of people who never arrived and never departed, with names missing from records and lives that slipped between schedules. But no missing persons reports ever match the sightings described. Some suggest Greyhaven wasn't the destination at all, but the interruption itself. A flaw in the landscape where movement behaved differently and trains passed through, but time did not. Still, no survey ever identified anomalies strong enough to prove such a claim. Today, Greyhaven Station has collapsed back into the forest as trees grow through the platform and the tracks are gone. But locals still avoid the area at night, saying the air feels delayed, as if sound arrives a second too late. As if something is still waiting for clearance to leave the station. Maybe the truth was never lost at all, just waiting quietly. So when you imagine that silent train paused at a station erased from time, which theory feels closest to the truth for you, and which detail refuses to let you go?